Keeping things organized inside of your sessions is a really fantastic habit to cultivate early on. Not only is it going to make your life easier as you have more tracks that you have to manage and be accountable for, but it's also going to make anybody who opens the session later, like a collaborator, quickly understand what's happening inside of the session, and it's going to be greatly appreciated by that person. So you may have noticed that every time we press play, record, or stop on a clip, the action is taking place on the downbeat of the next measure. This is due to a setting in Ableton referred to as Global Quantization, which is set to 1 bar by default. And with this setting, anytime you trigger a clip, it's going to launch it on the next bar and keep everything lined up to the downbeats. You can change the Global Quantization settings by accessing this menu to the right of the metronome here, but for now we're just going to keep everything at 1 bar so that it's simple and easy. So I've continued to work on this track. We've got 2 new MIDI tracks here and a few clips in each one of them. So in addition to changing the global quantization setting, we can also change how each individual clip launches inside of its launch settings. So here I'm going to just go into the grand piano, and we can access the launch settings by clicking on the L on the bottom left-hand corner here in clip view. You can see here are our launch settings. So underneath the word quantization, there's a drop-down menu which currently has the global setting selected. But to really illustrate how this works, I'm going to select none. So now when I press play, whatever was running last time I stopped playback is going to begin again. So we've got everything lined up, and now I'm going to launch this just kind of whenever. And now you can hear everything's not lined up. I'll launch this one, which has a global on it. And then again here. So you can see that I basically took away any quantization setting and it just launched when I pressed go. So I'm gonna set this back to global, and now I want to restart this clip. It's always gonna happen on the downbeat. I really only find myself changing the launch settings of a clip when I want to do something cool on stage, or I need things to be a bit more customized, but for the most part, I always keep everything at 1 bar. So you can have any number of clips running at a time, but the limitation with the track is that you can only have 1 clip in each track playing at any given time. So let's say I want both of these clips to be playing at the same time, but I can't because they're inside of the same track. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and I'm going to insert a new MIDI track. So here it popped up 3 MIDI. And I'm going to need to locate the sound again and drop it onto this track as well. So I can use the search function here to quickly deduce which folder it's in. Ambient drops. Okay, so it looks like it's inside of the effect folder. I'm just going to grab it and drop it onto track 3 here. I'll delete this in the search. And then here I'm just going to grab this clip and pull it over to this track. So now we've got them separated onto different tracks. I'm going to launch one of them. And I'll launch this one too. So that's how we would troubleshoot that issue if you ever run into it. Additionally, we can choose to turn something on or off loop. The loop function is found here inside of clip view to the right. So I'm going to actually take this one off of loop and launch this clip. At the end of it, it's going to just stop playing. And if I put it back on, it will again begin to loop. Another fun thing to play with in this menu is the reverse function, where this REV option is. You can see it's just flipping things around. So here I'm going to play the same clip. This could be a really fun thing to play with to just kind of get more use out of, any ideas that you come up with, and it's always a really fun one to check out. So besides being able to trigger clips individually, Live can also launch entire rows at once, which are called scenes. You can see to the right-hand side under the master, there are these cell-like boxes that contain play icons and numbers. So if I was going to launch scene 1 here, every clip in this row is going to launch simultaneously. Trigger scene 2, every clip in that row is going to launch at the same time, according to the global quantization settings of 1 bar. So on and so forth. If I launch scene 3. We can use scenes to organize our songs into sections, like an intro, verse, breakdown, so on and so forth. So I'm going to move around my clips and make some duplicates where I need to and compartmentalize my song into these smaller scenes, which are going to make up the different sections of my song. So this skill set and organizational approach to creating scenes is pretty much the cornerstone of how most live stage show function, mine included. So I'm going to want the first scene to just be a little less involved, and I'm going to make some copies and paste some things around. I'm going to copy this one and put it here also. Okay. So I'm going to take a moment to rename these scenes by right-clicking on them. And we're going to get this drop-down menu, and I'm going to choose Rename here. So the cursor appears, and I'm going to call this scene Intro. Scene 2, I'm going to name Verse. And you can also use the key command Command-R or Control-R to quickly do this. And I'm going to name this last scene Chorus.